Instructional strategies are specific techniques, steps, or supports that you implement to help an individual improve performance. The authentic assessment component provides the information needed to increase learning and focus for required strategies for specific work tasks or workplace readiness skills. The need for instructional strategies is decided by analyzing data taken from the task analysis, observations, and business feedback. When analyzing data, you may find areas where the student is struggling to learn, remember, or perform a specific step or task at the worksite. Once these gaps are determined, implement instructional strategies to increase the likelihood of success. So, how do you determine what will be the most effective intervention? It is about knowing your students' needs, interests, and skill levels. It is best practice to design your strategies to fit the needs of the student. For example, if your student struggles with reading, your instructional strategy should be picture-based. If you have a student who has limited skills in technology, a low-tech strategy may be the best option. Consider the business and structure of the job as well. For example, if an app you want to use as a strategy to assist with task completion requires Wi-Fi, but the business does not have access to Wi-Fi, then that app won't be an option. The implementation of instructional strategies for academics and work may look different and need to be appropriate for the work environment. Work strategies tend to be more hands-on, visual, and easy to manipulate or access. When selecting and creating instructional strategies for employment, you want to make sure that you take the work environment into consideration. Many times you will be instructing in an open area with other coworkers or guests. If the job entails working with the public, the instructional strategies should take into account that they are guests in the workplace. For example, if you implement a video to help model a task, a pair of headphones may be needed so that the volume of the video does not bother others. As another example, if a student is working in a quiet office with cubicles and needs an alarm, pick something that vibrates or makes a soft noise. Depending on the environment and the reason for the instructional strategy, it may be appropriate to introduce the intervention in a private area like the classroom before introducing it on a job site where coworkers and the public can overhear. When feasible, incorporate natural cues as your instructional strategies. Natural cues are cues that are already in the environment and not contrived by support staff. Think about a school bell. That is a natural transition cue that is used for all students. You did not have to create it, but you may need to alert the student to what the bell means and how to respond. All employees use natural cues. Natural cues can be an event, sound, or person that is already in the environment. Using natural cues and supports takes less time to create, implement, and fade. One of the most useful and effective instructional strategies is the use of assistive technology. The Virginia Department of Education defines assistive technology, or AT, as any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of a child with a disability. Some examples of AT are the use of smartphones or tablet applications or apps for checklists, alarms, social stories, counting, stress management, and video modeling. Assistive technology can break down barriers in the workplace and is often easily accessible and inexpensive. Sometimes you take all the necessary components into consideration and effectively teach the strategy, but the data reveals that the strategy is not producing the outcome you wanted. It is okay to modify or remove this strategy and try another strategy. You do not want to keep using something that is not effective or that your student is not willing to use. Remember, when first implementing an instructional strategy, you may see no change, a decrease in independence, or a spike in behavior before it starts working. Give it time, but be open to changing the strategy if the data shows it is not effective. Keep the end result in mind when selecting and implementing a strategy. There will be strategies that you implement that will never be faded, and others that are only meant to be used until the student is independent. If the strategy is meant to decrease over time, then at the beginning, plan on how that strategy will decrease. Once you have your fading plan identified, then use the data you collect to inform when it is time to fade a strategy. A strategy like a checklist may never need to be faded, but any prompt or strategy that involves dependency on a person should have a fading plan. Try not to make yourself the strategy. For example, you do not want to be the cue that prompts your student when it's time to leave because they begin to rely on you, which creates prompt dependency. You will find yourself in a position where you are never able to completely fade from a work site. The goal should always be for the student to be able to complete his or her work independent from school staff. Fading should happen in increments. Decreasing the strategy slowly will help increase overall independence. For example, if a student uses an alarm to alert her when it is time to go home, you may start with a loud ringer, then move to a soft ringer, then move to a vibrating ringer, then extinguish the strategy. This allows for the student to gain independence over time while decreasing the need for a strategy. Remember, the data you take through your task analysis will help determine when it is time to begin to fade a strategy. As you see mastery of a skill using an instructional strategy on the TA, then it is time to fade the strategy. Using instructional strategies to build or improve targeted skills and workplace behaviors is integral to success in employment. Selecting, creating, and fading effective strategies can increase student performance.
The VCU Center on Transition Innovations is funded by the Virginia Department of Education. For further information about the Center on Transition Innovations, please visit our website at centerontransition.org.